We send emails all the time, don't we? It's a normal part of our day. We use email for work. We use it to talk to our family. We use it to keep in touch with friends. Many of us click that send button dozens of times each day. It feels like such a simple action. We type our message, click the button, and whoosh, it's gone. We rarely pause to consider what an incredible journey our message is about to undertake. It almost seems like magic, but it's actually a very clever process built with technology. It's a system designed to connect us across distances in moments. Think about the last email you sent. Perhaps it was a quick question to a colleague. Maybe it was a heartfelt letter to a loved one far away. Or it could have been an important document with a deadline. You carefully typed out your thoughts. You might have attached a photo or a file. Then you confidently clicked send, and in an instant your message vanished from your screen. But where did it actually go? How did it travel from your device to the recipient's inbox, possibly thousands of miles away, in just a few seconds or minutes? It's a journey worth exploring. This essay is going to pull back the curtain on that very journey. We're going to follow an email from the moment you hit send. We will trace its path through the vast network of the internet. We will look at the different computers and systems that play a part. We'll learn about the rules and protocols that make it all work smoothly, from your computer through various servers and finally to your friend's waiting screen. It's a surprisingly complex and fascinating trip made simple for us by layers of technology working in harmony. Many different pieces of technology must cooperate perfectly. It's not actual magic, of course, even though it can feel that way. The speed and reliability of email are the result of a series of carefully designed steps. These steps were thought up and built by very smart engineers and computer scientists. Their goal was to make communication across distances easier and much, much faster than ever before, and they certainly succeeded. So let's embark on this informational adventure. Let's uncover the digital secrets. We will explore the magic behind that small yet incredibly powerful send button we use every single day without a second thought. So you've just clicked that send button with a satisfying tap. What is the very first thing that happens on your device? Your email program or email client springs into action. This software could be something like Gmail running in your web browser. Or it might be a dedicated application like Microsoft Outlook or Apple Mail. This program takes everything you've prepared, your typed text, any images you embedded, and any files you've attached. It gathers all these components and bundles them together. It's essentially packing your digital message into a neat package, getting it ready for its big journey across the digital landscape. This digital package, your email, needs a proper label before it can go anywhere. Just like a letter you send through the traditional post, it needs addressing information. This label contains critical details. It clearly states who the email is from, your email address. It also specifies who the email is intended for, the recipient's email address. Your email program automatically adds this information along with other technical details into what are called the email's headers. You can think of these headers as the digital equivalent of an envelope for a traditional letter. They provide all the necessary routing information for the journey ahead. Once your email is packaged and labeled, your computer then needs to communicate with another very special computer. This special computer is known as an email server. More specifically, it's often called an outgoing mail server, or using its technical name, an SMTP server. We will talk a lot more about SMTP very soon because it's super important for sending emails. Your email program is already configured to know the address of this server. This server is usually operated by your email service provider, such as Google if you use Gmail, or Microsoft if you use Outlook.com, or perhaps your company if it's a work email. Your device, be it a laptop, phone, or tablet, establishes a connection to this outgoing mail server. It does this using your current internet connection. This connection might be through your home Wi-Fi network, your mobile data, or a wired Ethernet cable plugged into your computer. This initial connection is like a digital handshake. Your computer essentially says to the server, "Hello, I have an email message that needs to be sent." The server, if all is well, replies, "Okay, I'm ready to receive it." Then your email program begins to transmit the bundled email data to this server. The great journey has officially begun. Do you remember that SMTP server we just mentioned? SMTP is a very important acronym in the world of email. It stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Now, protocol might sound like a very technical and complicated term, but really a protocol is just an agreed-upon set of rules and procedures. In this case, SMTP provides the specific rules for how to send and relay electronic mail. It's like the official rulebook for how postal services around the world should handle letters and packages to ensure they get delivered. SMTP ensures that all the different email systems can understand each other and work together seamlessly. It's the universal language for email transmission. When your email program on your computer sends your message to your outgoing mail server, it is communicating using this SMTP language. Your email client tells the SMTP server important information. It clearly states who the sender of the email is. It also clearly states who the intended recipient of the email is. After these initial introductions and verifications, it then transmits the actual content of your email. This includes the body of your message, the part you typed, and any files you attached. The SMTP server on the other end listens carefully to this communication, following the SMTP rules to correctly interpret all the information being sent. This first SMTP server that your email program connects to is typically your own email provider's server. You can think of it as your local post office branch. It's the place you go to drop off your mail. This server accepts your digital letter. It then performs some initial checks, like looking at the recipient's address. Based on this address, it starts to figure out where your email needs to go next in the vast network of the internet. This server plays a crucial role. Without this initial handoff to an SMTP server, your email wouldn't even leave your digital neighborhood. It is the first significant stop on the email's journey. The SMTP server doesn't just accept and blindly forward every email it receives. It usually performs some important checks first. For instance, it will likely verify that you're actually authorized to send email through it. This often involves checking your login credentials, username and password, which your email client provides automatically. This authentication step is very important for preventing spam and unauthorized use of the mail server. Once the server is satisfied that you are a legitimate user, it looks closely at the recipient's email address. Specifically, it examines the part of the address that comes after the @ symbol. This part is called the domain, and it tells the server which email system or organization the message is ultimately destined for. Alright, so now your SMTP server, the one from your email provider, knows the recipient's domain name. Let's imagine your email is addressed to your friend@example.com. In this case, the domain is example.com. However, computers and servers on the internet don't primarily use these human-friendly domain names to find each other directly. They use a different kind of address, numerical addresses. These special numbers are called IP addresses. An IP address, Internet Protocol address, is like a unique, specific street address for every computer or server connected to the internet. It's a series of numbers that precisely identifies a machine on the network. So how does your SMTP server figure out the numerical IP address for the mail server that handles emails, for example, .com? It uses a system called the Domain Name System, or DNS for short. The DNS is often described as the Internet's phone book. Its main job is to translate the domain names that we humans easily remember, like www.google.com or example.com, into the IP addresses that computers need to communicate. The DNS isn't just one giant book on one computer, it's a huge, globally distributed database system. Many DNS servers around the world work together constantly to provide this essential translation service. Therefore, your SMTP server sends a special query to a DNS server. It essentially asks a question. What is the IP address of the mail server responsible for the domain example.com? The DNS server receives this query and looks up the information. For email, it specifically looks for a special type of DNS record called an MX record. MX stands for Mail Exchange. This MX record contains the domain name and priority of the mail servers that are designated to receive emails for example.com. The DNS then usually provides the actual IP address associated with that mail server. This whole lookup process happens incredibly fast, usually in milliseconds. Once your SMTP server receives the IP address of the recipient's mail server from the DNS, it now knows precisely where to send your email next. It's like getting very clear turn-by-turn driving directions to the recipient's main post office building. Without the DNS, emails would be completely lost. Sending servers wouldn't know the numerical address of the destination servers. IP addresses and the DNS are absolutely fundamental to how the entire internet functions. Section 5, Packet Power, how your email travels in pieces. Your email message, even if it seems short and simple to you, can actually represent a fair amount of digital data. This is especially true if your email includes attachments like photos, documents, or videos. The internet, however, generally doesn't send large chunks of data across its networks all in one go. Instead, it employs a clever strategy. It breaks the data down into much smaller, more manageable pieces. These small pieces are called packets. You can think of it like trying to send a very long and heavy book through the mail. You probably wouldn't try to ship the entire book in one enormous unwieldy box. Instead, you would likely divide the book into several smaller, lighter boxes. Or perhaps you might even send it chapter by chapter or a few pages at a time. Each data packet contains a small portion of your original email. In addition to a piece of your email's content, each packet also carries some important extra information in its header. This includes the IP address of the sender's server and, crucially, the IP address of the recipient's server. It also typically includes a sequence number. This sequence number is very important because it helps the receiving computer to reassemble the packets in the correct order, ensuring your email is put back together perfectly at the other end. Why go to all the trouble of breaking the email into these tiny packets? There are several good reasons. Firstly, it's much more efficient for transmitting data over a network. If one small packet happens to get lost or becomes corrupted during its journey across the internet, only that single small piece needs to be resent. The entire email doesn't have to be sent all over again. Secondly, this packet switching approach allows data from many different users and many different internet activities like emails, website browsing, video calls to travel over the same network cables and wireless channels simultaneously. Their packets can intermingle, sharing the available bandwidth. This core concept is called packet switching. So your complete email message is now transformed into a stream of these tiny data packets. Each individual packet is now ready to embark on its journey across the internet. An interesting thing about these packets is that they might not all take the exact same route to reach the destination server. Much like cars navigating a city's road network during rush hour, different packets might be routed along different paths by the network's routers. However, they all carry the same destination IP address in their headers, so they all know precisely where they are ultimately supposed to go. The internet is specifically designed to manage and route these individual packets efficiently and reliably. Section 6, Across the Wires and Waves. The journey through the network. Now that your email has been broken down into a series of data packets, these packets begin their true journey. They travel from your initial SMTP server, your provider's server, towards the recipient's SMTP server, their provider's server. This journey across the internet is rarely a direct, straight line from point A to point B. Instead, it involves a series of hops between many intermediate computers. These specialized computers are called routers. You can think of routers as the traffic police or the signal controllers of the internet. Their main job is to look at the destination address on each packet and direct it along the best possible path toward its final destination. Each router that a packet encounters along its path examines the destination IP address contained within the packet's header. Based on this address and the router's current knowledge of the network's conditions like traffic congestion or link failures, it makes a decision about where to send the packet next. It constantly tries to choose the quickest and most efficient route available at that moment. The internet itself is an enormous network of networks connecting millions of smaller networks all over the world. Your email packets might cross city boundaries, state lines, or even entire continents. They might travel through fiber optic cables laid deep under the oceans. They could even, in some cases, be relayed via satellites orbiting the Earth. This entire process of packets hopping from router to router happens incredibly fast. We're talking about speeds that are hard to comprehend, often measured in milliseconds, thousandths of a second. Even if the recipient of your email is located on the complete opposite side of the globe, the packets can usually make the journey in a fraction of a second, or, at most, a few seconds. Each hop brings the packets progressively closer to their intended destination server. This complex, interconnected system of routers, cables, and wireless links is what we collectively call the Internet. It's engineered to be remarkably resilient. If one particular path or link becomes broken or congested, routers can dynamically find alternative ways to get the packets through. Throughout this rapid journey, your email packets are not traveling alone. They are mingling with literally billions and billions of other packets. These other packets are carrying data for all sorts of internet activities. People browsing websites, streaming movies, engaging in video conferences, playing online games, and so much more. It's an incredibly busy digital highway operating 24/7. Yet, despite this immense traffic, each packet is individually addressed. The sophisticated systems of the Internet, including the routers and the protocols they use, are designed to handle this massive and continuous flow of information efficiently. It truly is a marvel of modern engineering, all occurring silently in the background every time you use the Internet. Section 7. Knock knock. Arriving at the recipient's mail server. After their swift and complex journey hopping across the vast network of the Internet from router to router, your email packets finally arrive at their intended destination. They reach the recipient's mail server. This is the specific server whose IP address your initial SMTP server discovered earlier by querying the domain name system DNS. This destination server is also running SMTP software, just like your outgoing mail server was. It's constantly listening, waiting for incoming emails addressed to the users whose mailboxes it manages. You can think of this server as the main post office building in the recipient's town or organization, ready to receive and sort incoming mail. The recipient's SMTP server now begins to communicate with the sending SMTP server, which might be your provider's server or an intermediate relay server that helped deliver the packets. Once again, this communication happens using the rules of the SMTP protocol. The sending server essentially announces, "Hello, I have an email message for one of your users." Before accepting the email, the recipient's server might perform several important checks. For example, it might check the reputation of the sending server's IP address. It can consult blacklists of known spam sources to see if the sender is a habitual offender. This is a crucial step in the ongoing battle to filter out unsolicited and often malicious spam emails. If all these initial checks pass and everything looks legitimate, the recipient's server typically responds with a message like, "All right, I'm ready." You can send the email content over. The stream of packets containing your email is then transferred from the sending system to the recipient's server. The recipient's server diligently collects all the individual packets that make up your email. It then uses the sequence numbers embedded in each packet's header to reassemble them. It carefully puts all the pieces back together in their original correct order. Just like that, your email, which traveled as separate pieces, is made whole again. The digital suitcase has successfully arrived at its destination terminal, but the processing doesn't stop there. Once the email is reassembled, the recipient's server might perform further security scans. It will very likely scan the email's content and any attachments for known viruses, malware, or other malicious software. It may also apply more sophisticated spam filtering techniques, looking for suspicious keywords, unusual formatting, or deceptive links. Email providers invest heavily in these security measures to protect their users from harmful content and unwanted messages. These checks are usually performed very quickly in the background. The server's goal is to ensure the email is safe and is something the recipient would genuinely want to see before it's placed in their mailbox. Section 8. The final sort: how your email gets delivered. Once the recipient's mail server has successfully received, reassembled, and scanned your email, it's tantalizingly close to its final destination. The server now takes a closer look at the complete recipient email address. For instance, if the email is addressed to friend@example.com, the server now focuses on the friend part, which is the local user part or mailbox name. This server is responsible for managing the email mailboxes for many different users within the example.com domain, not just for friend. It could potentially be handling mail for hundreds, thousands, or even millions of individual user accounts, depending on the size of the organization or service. The server's next critical task is to place your email into the correct individual mailbox. You can imagine this server as having a large room filled with many individual mail slots or PO boxes. There's one dedicated slot for each user it serves. The server uses the friend part of the email address to identify the specific digital slot belonging to your friend. It then carefully deposits your complete email message into that designated mailbox. This step is absolutely crucial. It ensures that your message, which has traveled so far, gets delivered to the right person and not to someone else by mistake. It's very much like a mail carrier meticulously sorting letters into the correct PO boxes at the post office. Sometimes users have set up personal rules or filters within their email accounts. These rules can automatically sort incoming emails into different folders or categories as they arrive. For example, a user might have a rule that says any email coming from boss@example.com should automatically be moved into a special folder named Work. Or perhaps emails containing certain keywords like unsubscribe or special offer might be directed straight to a promotions tab or even a junk or spam folder, depending on the user's preferences. The recipient's mail server often handles the execution of these user-defined rules. Alternatively, the user's email client program might apply these rules when it later fetches the new mail from the server. At this point, your email message is now sitting securely within the recipient's designated mailbox on their email server. It's no longer actively flying through the bits and bytes of the internet. It has successfully reached its destination server and is safely stored there. The server will keep it there, waiting patiently until the recipient decides to check their email. The main part of the email's journey, the complex transit across the internet, is now complete. Your message is just one step away from being seen by your friend, colleague, or family member. The digital letter has been delivered to their virtual doorstep. Section 9. Ding, you've got mail, the grand finale, and a fun fact. So your email is patiently waiting on the recipient's mail server. How does your friend, let's call her Sarah, actually get to see it? Sarah's email client software needs to check in with her mail server. This email client could be an application on her smartphone, like the Gmail app or Apple Mail app. It could be a desktop program on her computer, such as Microsoft Outlook or Thunderbird. Or she might be using a webmail interface, like accessing her Gmail account through a web browser like Chrome or Safari. When Sarah opens her email client, or when it's set to automatically check for new mail, it establishes a connection to her incoming mail server. Interestingly, the email client uses a different set of rules, a different protocol, to fetch emails from the server than the SMTP protocol used to send them. For retrieving emails, common protocols are IMAP, Internet Message Access Protocol, or POP3, Post Office Protocol version 3. IMAP is generally more popular these days. This is because IMAP allows you to view and manage your emails on multiple devices, like your phone, tablet, and computer, and keeps them synchronized. Changes on one device, like reading or deleting an email, are reflected on all others because the emails largely stay on the server. POP3, on the other hand, typically downloads emails to a single device and often deletes them from the server. Sarah's email client, using IMAP or POP3, then communicates with her mail server. It essentially asks, "Hello server, do you have any new mail for Sarah at friend@example.com?" The server checks Sarah's designated mailbox. If your email has arrived, the server will respond, "Yes, indeed, there's a new message here and it's from your email address." It then proceeds to send the content of your email, the subject, sender, body, and any attachments over the internet connection to Sarah's device. And just like that, voila. The email pops up in her inbox list. She sees the subject line you wrote. She sees it's from you. She can then click to open it and read your carefully crafted message. And now for a little piece of email trivia to cap off our journey. The very first networked email was sent by a computer engineer named Ray Tomlinson way back in 1971. He was working on ARPANET, which was a forerunner to the internet we know today. He is also the person credited with choosing the @ symbol to separate the user's login name from the name of their host, machine, or server. He sent that historic first email message between two computers that were physically located right next to each other in the same room. And what was the profound content of this groundbreaking message? Reportedly, it was something mundane and test-like, such as "Quertui op" or "Testing 1, 2, 3." Not very exciting content perhaps, but that simple act started an absolute communication revolution. So the next time you casually click that send button, take a moment to appreciate the incredible high-speed, globe-spanning journey your message is about to undertake.